You're listening to the Russ Sports Podcast with host Jason Collins. Tonight's show is brought to you by Smackin' Wings and Things, Sears Hometown Store of Russellville, and Williams Snack Shack. Enjoy the show. Hello. I'm your host, Jason Collins, with the Russ Sports Podcast, and we got a different mixed-up panel today. We got Lucas Branch, we got Brandon Warner, and we got a special guest panelist, Mike Jones, sitting in for the late, great Anderson Elam Psych. He didn't die. He's just not here with us. But we got Mike Jones sitting in with us with the Russellville Cyclone Basketball team. Say what's up, Mike.
What up?
Yeah, what's up? And then we got Lucas, like I said, and Brandon. So, guys, let's just get this show started. But first, I want to ask our guest a few questions. Mike, I know you're on the Cyclone basketball team. Tell me what that experience is like being on that team.
It's really fun. When you're playing with Coach Pennington, a bunch of guys like Trey Allen and Diane May, and the whole team, to be honest, people that are really experienced, it puts a lot of not only pressure, but it makes you want to work harder. You know.
Yeah,
like Coach Pennington won't ever let you not give your best. And him that, had an emphasis on October close to the season. We had a really good October. And it just pumps a lot of confidence in you when you have Coach P. And players like Diane May and them always pushing you to your limits. Makes you feel like the sky's the limit for you.
Yeah, man. So what's a strength that you would say your team has this year?
Well, usually probably I'd say almost every year with Cyclones is that we've been playing since we were kids, man. And we all know each other so well. And our instead of having little cliques in the team, like all these people hang out with these people. It's really like a family thing this time. Like it doesn't matter who you are. Everybody hangs out with each other. And it's just so much it's just really fun. You can count on anybody on the team. And I love it.
Yeah, man, I understand that. And I got another question for you. And we all know this. Tony Jones is your older brother. How does it feel to have an older brother that also played Cyclone basketball and along with a lot of other sports? Does he ever give you pointers or help you out with some of the things going through high school and also balancing a sport?
Yeah. I think, man, with him, he's been he knows a lot and everyone knows him. Hate to say it, but he's pretty good at what he did. So it's cool to know that, even if I needed something, that he's just downstairs. I can talk to him anytime, but he wants me to be my best. And so anytime he gets the opportunity to give me a little pointer and something, he'll tell me. And I love it, man. I got a lot of people here that just want to see the best in me. And I just love it. He gives me a lot of stuff. I just love it, man.
All right, man. Well, I'm going to open it up to the rest of the panel. You guys want to say anything to him? Ask him a question?
How do you think the season's going to play out for you guys?
I hate to put a label on it, but only thing I can say is we'll see. We got a lot of guys that can go this year, and sky's the limit for us. So we'll just have to wait and see. I think it'll be pretty good, though.
All right, then. Well, let's get started with this actual stuff we're going to talk about. Mike, thank you for joining once again, sitting in for Anderson. And we're going to get started with some NBA basketball. So first topic I got for you guys, Mike D'Antoni joining the Nets coaching staff. He is going to be joining Steve Nash, head coach, along with some assistant coaches, most notably Amari Stoudemire, a teammate of Steve Nash. So is this a smart move or a bad move for the Nets? And I'm going to let Lucas start with this one.
I think it's an amazing move for the Nets. I really like this move because I feel like with Steve Nash not having any, head coaching experience, I think having D'Antoni on the staff is really going to help this team develop nicely.
Yeah, for sure. Brandon, you got something?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good move for them. I don't really see D'Antonio. He wasn't getting the wins that he needed with the talent that he had. So seeing him as an assistant coach is definitely, I think that's where he belongs. And if the team doesn't perform, I think it's definitely not on the coaching staff because that coaching staff is loaded.
Mike?
Yeah, what you said pretty much. I think Mike D'Antoni at assistant coach with Steve Nash at head coach would put a lot of things for those guys. They have a lot of chemistry already in the coaching staff, and I think chemistry in the coaching staff can go a long way than chemistry in players if you think about it. So I think it's going to be pretty good for him.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I would have never guessed that Mike D'Antoni would be an assistant coach this season. I mean, I thought he had the resume, and with the talent he had, no, they didn't perform the way they did in the playoffs. But as far as regular season, they did come out and pretty much do what they should do. Most always a top 4 team in the West, which is hard to win in, and really perfected. I wouldn't say perfected, but they really, really made small ball lineups a big thing. Even like in terms of just playing in the West, where the West have all the best bigs and players. It was just a really cool thing to see. But what did you guys think? Did you guys think he deserved more of a head coaching job? Like, I mean, the Pelicans was available, and a whole bunch of other jobs were available. But what do you guys think about that?
I don't think he would have done very well at the Pelicans. Mike D'Antoni's system is a system that needs shooters, and the Pelicans don't really have a whole lot of shooters. They have a lot of athletes and guys that can get up and down the floor, but I think the Nets is definitely a good place for Mark D'Antoni.
Mike?
I agree with Mike D'Antoni. He's understood how to handle with a star player, and I think that when you have a star player in Kyrie Irving and also soon to be Kevin Durant, I think he can go pretty far with them.
Lucas, what you got?
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised that he got hired as an assistant coach. But I think the Nets, you've got a shooting point guard in Kyrie Irving. You get a shooting small forward in Kevin Durant. I mean, I think it's a great place for him to be.
You know, Lucas, is actually interesting that you were talking about those players, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, because I was just going to ask my next question. If you're D'Antoni, would you take a core of James Harden and Russell Westbrook or a core of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? And I'll let you go ahead and start it off.
I mean, I would definitely take the one with 2 shooters if I was D'Antoni because, my system it relies heavily on 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
And I feel like those 2 stars offer more of that than Russell Westbrook and James Harden would.
Brandon, what about you?
The same thing. He needs shooters to be on his team, and it kind of already proved James Harden and Russell Westbrook didn't really click very well. Russell Westbrook's not really a shooter, so it didn't really fit with his system that great, but I think it'll work out.
Oh. Mike?
Yeah, I agree. You got people like Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant that can literally, when healthy, they were unguardable and can make that thing from anywhere. So when you have people with him that can provide shootings from both star-like people, I think it'll go a long way for him.
Well, all right, guys. Just to finish this topic out, what place you guys think they're going to finish in the East? I'm calling first, maybe second, if Milwaukee gets their stuff together. But yeah, I'm gonna say first. Mike, what do you think?
If Giannis stays, I have to say second, but if not, then I'll go first.
Brandon?
That is very tough because we don't know the whole free agency yet. But yeah, right now with Giannis on Milwaukee, I think they are a second.
And Luke, what are you thinking?
I think they're third. I think they got. I think Boston's better than them, and I think Milwaukee's better than them.
Bold take right there. Bold take. I mean, it's not wrong at all. I can see where you're coming from with that. Just more certainty in that Boston locker room instead of the Nets. But Mike, it was interesting that you talked about Giannis staying or going because we don't know. But that's my next question. Do you think Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee this season? And I'm gonna let Brandon start this one off.
I think he will, but I don't think he should. I think the coaching staff and the players around them there just haven't really been able to help him get to a championship, obviously. And I think he needs to go somewhere that will help him get to the finals.
Lucas?
I think he'll stay. I don't see a reason for him to leave. I mean, they were number 1 in the East. Just need to not have COVID happen, and I think with the home court advantage, they'll be able to advance pretty far in the playoffs next year.
And Mike?
It's hard to say, but I do think, because I feel Giannis is a pretty loyal person, that he will stay in Milwaukee. But I think if he does stay in Milwaukee, there's going to be a couple of changes, not only to the lineup, but to the coaching staff as well. Which is what I think.
Interesting right there, yeah. Well, guys, if I'm Giannis or if I'm Giannis's agent, I'm talking to the team and I'm saying, look, you guys need to trade us and get us out of Milwaukee. Because if you don't trade us, you're gonna lose me for nothing. So that's what I think. I think he's gonna get traded. I think Milwaukee opens their eyes and they're like, this guy's gonna leave regardless. If we don't win this season, or if we don't look like we're gonna be winning even the East with KD coming back and being a contender in the East now, we got to trade this guy and get something for him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Milwaukee trades him before the trade deadline or even trades him before the season starts. But, that's the NBA, man. What do you think about the NBA potentially starting before the new year? And I think the decided date might be December 22nd. I don't know if they completely said it yet, but what do you guys think about that? And how do you think the players are going to react to that? Brandon, you can start it.
I think it's a little early. I think they should definitely push it back a little bit, give them a little more time to rest, because of how this past season went. It was just, I know they had that 3-month break, but it was just weird. But I think they definitely need to push it back a little bit.
Yeah, they're definitely risking like $1 billion in revenue if they push it past the new year. So that is very, very, very a big reason to not do that. Lucas, what do you think?
I think if they do start it before the new year, it'll just be like watching summer league. I don't see any of the big stars playing that played in the bubble. I really don't. Maybe you can get a quick look into like the Warriors with their new squad, and with all their players healthy. But I mean, other than if you didn't make the playoffs, then maybe. But if you made the playoffs, then I don't see any of those stars on those teams playing before the new year.
Mike?
Yeah, I agree with Lucas. Since it's going to start so early, I think I'm going to see a lot of stars and a lot of complaints that we had last year before the bubble happened really was a bunch of load management. I can see a lot of load management happening, and it's going to cause a lot of things for, even that. I think views will still go down because stars aren't playing. People like Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Butler is probably physically and mentally still exhausted when the season comes back, and stars are going to underperform, and it's just going to look bad in my opinion. So
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, this league, they just went through probably one of the best plans of anybody so far in this COVID era. Just being able to go into the bubble and not have any positive cases and finish their season, I think was just very impressive. But, I just think it's too soon. I mean, I know there's a lot of risk in the money, but you're going to have risk regardless if you don't have your stars playing. And that's the tough thing about a business. But when I say that, it is a business. So when your job says you got to work, you got to work or else you don't have to get paid. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tough situation, but I'm going to side with the players just because I want the best basketball to be shown at all times. And if the players don't like it, then they're not going to be able to give their best. If you're not getting paid good or if you're not healthy, then you're not going to play good. But speaking about players, there are some new players coming into the league pretty soon who will probably play regardless of when the season starts because they're rookies. So who's your number one pick in the draft? We got LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, or other. And I'm going to doubt that anybody else chooses an other besides Obi Toppin, but I don't think he's anybody's number one. Lucas, who's your number one?
Who has the number one pick again?
I'm not sure. I forgot.
I think it might have been the Timberwolves.
Timberwolves? Yeah. That's what it was.
Okay. Jeez. They don't need a center, so I'm not going to say James. I'm going to say Anthony Edwards. Because I don't think they need a center. I think Cat's going to do a lot for him this year. Yeah. I just don't see him taking Wiseman.
Brandon, what do you think?
I think the same thing. They just need a guard